ain't spoke to my son. Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep shit up, his ass going to prison.
Then he wanna talk about some other like this being shit. This being shit. No, I'm being real. You lying. You lying. You up here flagging. You're cat. Don't be in this bitch. Wait till I come back in the market late night, and then it's just you, and I slap you up. Yeah. You trying to act off, son? Oh, like this in front of all your peeps. Tell your mama I said Happy Mother's Day, and then clearing in my face and shit. Like what?
I's biggest fear might actually be unfolding right in front of him. After years of warning his son King Harris to slow down before he ruined his future, it looks like the very thing T.I. spoke on could be coming true. Word on the streets is that a judge might be ready to slap King with a serious 5-year sentence. 5 long years. That could change everything. And here's the wild part. T.I. literally called this back in 2022, saying that if King didn't straighten up, this exact outcome was waiting for him. Nobody can say they didn't see it coming either, because King's trail of mistakes was loud and public. From reckless driving to that viral Waffle House brawl, to flashing props and weapons in his music videos, it was like he was daring somebody to check him. The signs were stacking higher and higher, but instead of slowing down, King kept pushing the line. By 2024, it all caught up with him in the worst way possible. The footage from his arrest was shocking. He almost collided with a police car, beat-up vehicle, a weapon tucked at his side, and an old warrant from 2022 finally biting him back. It felt like every single bad choice from the last few years circled back at once, putting him in the biggest mess of his life.
Stand by right here for me. 32, I'm 10 extend, 1 detain. Spread your legs slightly. I just need to pat you down.
What really makes this moment sting is the timing. Just weeks after the arrest, King was proudly posting about becoming a dad, dropping a song called Dear Son, and showing off how he wanted to level up as a father. So let's break down how King Harris went from being the son of a hip-hop icon to now sitting in front of a courtroom, possibly looking at 5 whole years of his life being put on pause. The story behind this isn't just messy, it's a complete spiral that shows how fast things can flip when you think you're untouchable. It all kicked off in October 2024, the exact day people say King officially crashed out. He pulled out of a gas station in his BMW and nearly slammed right into a police cruiser. Can you imagine? The cops barely had to do anything. The situation basically walked right into their hands. From there, it went downhill, fast. Officers walked up and immediately things looked bad. They said they smelled weed, then spotted a weapon resting on his hip.
My son, think I ain't spoke to my son. Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep that shit up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had that conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's gonna turn out.
At that moment, they weren't asking questions. They were already planning to take him in. And once they ran his name, the real problem showed itself. King still had an open warrant sitting from way back in 2022. That old case, overspeeding, driving on a suspended license, and a DUI charge he never followed up on. Instead of handling it like everybody else in court, he left it hanging. And in 2024, that one decision finally came back knocking. The arrest video, first posted by Badge Chronicles and then picked up by Vlad TV, ran almost half an hour long. And honestly, it's hard to watch without shaking your head. You see King being pulled from the car, the weapon removed from his side, cuffs slapped on, pockets searched, and then tossed in the back seat like a scene straight out of a movie gone wrong. King wasn't out here screaming or wilding in the moment, but you could see it all over his face. He was irritated, tight, and fully aware that he had just landed himself in a real mess.
Yes, sir.
There's one in the red.
Does your buddy have one as well? All right, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires.
There's
no safety. You gotta take the
There's no safety.
take the
Okay.
clip out.
Well, I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. I'm just set this down right here. Dude, step out for me. Yes, sir. Place your hands behind your back for me. All right, right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest.
Are you scared?
I'm gonna be at the church. All right, I appreciate you being cool, man. We're just gonna take a look at this information, make sure it's valid.
I ain't sure it is.
Just take the step to the side.
No amount of fast talking or celebrity privilege could flip this one around, and the cameras caught every second. The footage shows King being pulled from the car, cuffed up, searched down, and slid into the back of that patrol ride like a scene straight out of a cautionary tale. One officer even admitted afterward that King was calm and cooperative the whole way through. But that didn't stop the process. He still found himself booked in DeKalb County Jail before being transferred over to Pickens. Just like that, the flashy lifestyle, the IG flexes, the big talk, all of it came crashing down while the whole internet sat back and watched. And here's the part that really cuts deep, because none of this was a surprise to T.I. Back in 2022, when King's choices were already raising eyebrows, Tip went live on Instagram and flat out said it: if King didn't slow down, prison would be his only destination. He wasn't just speaking as a father frustrated with his son, he was speaking as a man who's been through the trenches himself. Tip even laid it out crystal clear: time is gonna be his teacher. And now, with clips of King's arrest bouncing all over social media, people are digging that old video back up and clowning both of them. Some fans are saying, see, he literally spoke it into existence. Some people actually felt sympathy for T.I., because imagine giving your child warning after warning and then having to sit back while those very words play out in real life. Either way, the internet wasted no time pointing out how right he was. Tip saw the energy. He recognized the pattern years ago, but King still tuned him out like the advice didn't apply. And when it comes to King not listening, the red flags were waving bright long before this latest drama. Let's take it back to 2022. The infamous Waffle House meltdown. That was one of the first times folks really started side-eyeing King, saying, yeah, this kid is headed down the wrong path. The viral video showed him in a full-blown shouting match with staff, going back and forth like he had something to prove. Instead of looking tough, the whole scene came across entitled Out of Control, and honestly embarrassing. Even T.I. himself couldn't back that up. He later went live and admitted he was flat out confused, perplexed, in his own words, wondering why his son even paused his day just to go toe-to-toe with a short order cook.
Why y'all got so much time, bro? Why y'all always gotta have? What is it about
It's not illegal to have.
Well, in the manner in which you portraying in the lifestyle, it don't look legitimate, sir. But I'm not supporting no whore. I'm not. I ain't doing. I'm not. What kind of parents don't support their kids and little goddamn slide? Nigga ain't even popping it. And then got up there. So.
He couldn't wrap his head around why King felt the need to match that kind of energy, especially when nothing was on the line. That clip made it crystal clear. King was chasing validation in all the wrong places. And as if the Waffle House chaos wasn't already a bad look, the whole situation with him flashing around weapons took things to another level. Remember when T.I. and Boosie had to sit their sons down on camera and check them publicly? That clip didn't just go viral for nothing. It blew up because people were shocked at what they saw. King and Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, were supposed to be shooting a regular music video. But instead of keeping the focus on the music, the whole set looked like a scene out of chaos. Props, weapons, and wild energy everywhere. It gave off the vibe of a trap spot instead of a professional shoot. And that's when the dads finally had to step in. You can literally hear T.I. stepping up asking, why y'all even toting guns when you got girls right here? Talk about love. That's when the whole vibe shifted. What was supposed to be a flex moment turned into a full-on lecture.
People hit me up like, King, I know you tired. You ain't getting no sleep. And the truth be told, before this I ain't been getting no sleep. You know what I'm saying? I just been outside working, lifestyle. You know, lifestyle just lifing. You know what I'm saying? And, but now I'm damn sure not getting no sleep. This up every morning, and then around the morning time, he like to do that little live concert I be doing with him. And he like to walk around the house.
T.I. broke it down plain and simple. One wrong move with a weapon, or even the wrong people around, could land them behind bars faster than they realize. And the way he spoke wasn't even harsh. It was more like he was giving his son the exact survival guide that he himself had to learn the hard way. That moment is still out there online. T.I. and Boosie sitting their sons down, point blank telling them why flashing weapons in videos was nothing but a straight ticket to problems with the law. Fans actually applauded both fathers, saying it was refreshing to see two hip-hop legends trying to guide their kids instead of letting them spiral unchecked. But here's the kicker. You could look right at King's face and tell he wasn't soaking it in. He was nodding, acting like he heard the words, but his energy showed something else. King might have heard his father's advice, but let's be honest, he wasn't truly absorbing the message, and what had fans really side-eyeing him wasn't just the flashy music videos or the quick temper, it was the drama in his personal life. The biggest curveball, when he popped out with a baby mama that instantly set the internet on fire. The mother of his child, who goes by Big Nana, became a trending topic overnight. Rumors started flying about her being way older than King, and people didn't hold back their opinions. Some swore she was only rocking with him for the money, while others labeled her a clout-chasing groupie trying to secure the bag. The alleged age gap had social media buzzing nonstop, but King, he couldn't have cared less.
Twelve pull up and they say, hey, who do you belong to? Who raised their hand? Somebody got to raise their hand. I've been seeing him around too there a lot. You gonna raise your own hand? I've been seeing him around too. Well, when you got it ain't like I know that. When y'all got around those people, they call it's not the possession of a commission of a crime, sir. That is a felony. Yeah. Thank you.
Instead of shying away, he leaned all the way in, showing off their relationship like it was a badge of honor. He went all out for her too, throwing a full baby shower, splashing it online, and posting about the pregnancy like he was ready to step into a whole new chapter. Then, when their son arrived in November 2024, King couldn't stop bragging. He was posting, celebrating, and even letting fans peek into the big day with clips of him and Big Nana acting like everything was perfect. And he didn't stop there. He took it straight to the booth. King dropped a track called Dear Son, writing about stepping up as a father and captioning his post with heartfelt words about wanting to be present. November 5th, 8:09 a.m., welcome King Jr., time to take over. That was the caption King proudly posted, and for a quick moment, it almost looked like fatherhood might be the thing to finally humble him. Fans thought, maybe this is it. Maybe being a dad will shift his whole perspective, but the timing couldn't have been more brutal. Because while King was cradling his newborn and flexing the proud dad role on Instagram, that arrest footage was circulating everywhere, reminding the world of the trouble he was already in.
Man, get out.
So I ain't no
Get
Tupac
out!
actor.
Get out!
I thought that was a lookalike Tupac.
What are you talking about? You never seen Juice?
Yeah, I did. I thought that was a lookalike Tupac.
What about when they say Tupac Shakur on the screen?
I ain't see that.
Come on, bro. What are you talking
I
about?
watched the credits.
How could you embarrass me like this?
And here's the saddest part. Nobody was shocked. Fans had been calling this for years, saying King's reckless behavior was going to catch up to him sooner or later. And now it's like everything came full circle, exactly how people predicted. If a judge really does hand down a 5-year stretch, don't expect T.I. to be angry more than anything. You'll probably see hurt written all over his face. Yeah, he warned him. Yeah, he tried to guide him. But when it's your child sitting in a courtroom chained up and facing hard consequences, that pain cuts way deeper than words. And if you've ever watched their podcast episodes together, you already know T.I. and King have a bond that runs deep. That's why this situation wouldn't just sting as a headline. It would rip through T.I. as a father and as a man who built his whole brand on family values. To make matters worse, people online are already dragging T.I., saying he failed as a father, that all the wealth, wisdom, and fame in the world couldn't stop his own son from spiraling. If King really gets sentenced, those critics are only going to get louder. And for someone like T.I., who's always positioned himself as the OG dad with the blueprint, having his son in this position could hit his reputation just as hard as it hits his heart. But one thing about T.I., he's always made it clear he's gonna ride for King no matter how messy things get. So you already know, even if he's frustrated and disappointed, he's still going to be the first one sitting front row in that courtroom, showing support as a father. That loyalty has never been in question.
Saying kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion, then I think, you know, because I tell you what, I have the greatest, most extensive family photo album. I can document and, like, I could go back to when King was Eris's age. I can go back to when Major was my granddaughter's age.
Of course, once the arrest footage and court updates started bouncing around the internet, the reactions came pouring in from every corner, and they weren't just one-sided either. Some folks were clowning him, others were surprisingly impressed by how he carried himself, and a few were just hoping the young man finally gets his act together. One fan flat out wrote, "King is enjoying every minute. Knowing he might go viral, he knows he's being recorded." And honestly, you can see that in the video. Even while being cuffed and searched, King never lashed out. He stayed calm, maybe too calm, almost like he knew the cameras were rolling and he was adding another viral moment to his reel. Then there's the darker side of social media, the crowd hyping this up as his so-called street cred moment. Someone even commented, "That man finally got his street cred. He's been telling y'all he outside," and that right there shows just how twisted the narrative has become. Instead of applauding growth or him stepping into fatherhood, people are romanticizing jail talk like it's an achievement. The focus should have been on his newborn son, his family, and moving forward. But instead, he's trending for all the wrong reasons while fans debate whether this was his big break into realness. But not every comment came with shade. Some people were actually rooting for King to turn things around. One person wrote, "He gonna be fine. He's been doing good since his son was born, so I'm wishing him blessings. He handled himself well." That's the other side of it. People genuinely hoping fatherhood will ground him, even if stepping into that courtroom ends up being part of his lesson. For T.I., though, this feels like deja vu in the worst way. It's like watching history repeat itself. The same system he once had to fight tooth and nail just to survive, now circling around his own child. And the part that cuts the deepest? I already saw this storm coming. Years ago, he spoke on it, he warned about it, and now he's forced to watch it unfold in real time. That's why this whole thing is bigger than just King Harris making headlines for another viral clip. This isn't clout chasing or some internet stunt gone wrong. This is a real shot at prison time, a real crossroad in his life, and a real test for T.I. as a father. If a judge truly stamps that 5-year sentence, King's story won't be just another trending topic. It'll be a heavy lesson carved into his life forever. A lesson about choices, legacy, and what happens when warnings go ignored. And trust, this saga is far from over. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stick around to see what's on our hood next, because you already know the story's only getting messier from here.
How much money was it supposed to be?
100,000 on dog weed.
Memphis police chief is asking everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed at a South Memphis cookie shop.
A hit on whose head?
Big Jook had a hit on dog head or whatnot.
How much money was it supposed to be?
100,000 on dog weed.
Yo Gotti might be next in the feds' crosshairs. Word in the streets is they're quietly building a case to connect him to Young Dolph's tragic end. And the juiciest clues, they're spilling right out of the courtroom, where Hernandez Govan's trial is about to send shockwaves through the game. Some folks are whispering that Govan already cut a deal, possibly pointing fingers at Yo Gotti and his brother Big Jook, who, not so long after those whispers started, was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Now, here's the question everyone's scared to ask. Was Big Jook staying quiet to protect Yo Gotti? Because let's keep it real. Life was running too smooth for Gotti to gamble it all. He had Angela Simmons on his arm. CMG's roster was dominating, and his name was hotter than ever. Throwing it all away over some dusty old beef, that would have been reckless. So did somebody make a calculated move to wipe out any loose ends before things blew up? And don't forget, this upcoming trial has been delayed so many times, it's starting to feel like a mixtape that keeps getting teased but never drops. But now, Govan's day in court is locked in for August 18th, 2025, just days away. And he's not just some small-time player either. Prosecutors are hitting him with first-degree charges, conspiracy allegations, and even claims that he orchestrated a high-level hit that left the city talking for months. The hit on Young Dolph back in 2021 still sends chills through Memphis, but now it's getting even stranger. Turns out the entire case is partially sealed, And that's where the mystery kicks in. On July 29th, Judge Jennifer Mitchell locked away the motions and rulings like a vault. No public access, no peeking, nothing. And nobody's explained why. That's not the usual play, especially for a high-profile case tied to one of the city's most loved rap legends. When a courtroom goes that silent, it usually means one of two things. Backroom deals are brewing or powerful names are being shielded. And here's the part that made the streets lose their minds. Hernandez-Govan is out on bond, just walking free, kicking it like nothing's wrong, on a $90,000 bond, no less. And get this, he already violated that bond and still got it reinstated. Now think about that. The alleged mastermind behind a major street plot is the only one out of all the co-defendants who's been granted that kind of freedom. Meanwhile, Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith are rotting away in jail, barely getting crumbs from the legal table. Insiders close to the case are saying this doesn't smell like regular legal strategy. They believe this screams cooperation. Some even think Govan might have already given the feds exactly what they wanted. And maybe, just maybe, drop names like Big Jook or even Yo Gotti. And when you line up the timing, sealed documents, a reinstated bond, and a trial about to kick off with the key witness strolling around free, this isn't just unusual. This feels calculated. This courtroom showdown could crack the Dolph case wide open in a way we haven't seen since 2021. And if Yo Gotti's name even slips out inside that room, we might be staring at the biggest fall from the top in Memphis rap history.
We strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
Now, here's where the spotlight starts burning hotter on Gotti. People aren't just running wild with theories. Prosecutors tied to the Young Dolph case have straight up stated in open court that Big Jook allegedly put up $100,000 to make Dolph vanish from the picture. Court files and street whispers both claim Hernandez-Govan was the go-between, the guy linking the shooters to both the cash and the target. Picture it like a chessboard. Govan was playing the strategy, Big Jook was moving the pieces, and CMG might have been the board they were playing on the whole time. When that 2021 hit went down, the two suspected triggermen reportedly expected to split a clean $100,000 payday. But here's the curveball. Instead of stacks, they allegedly walked away with a measly $800 to $1,500 each. And that money came from Jook, not directly from Gotti. That one detail has everybody in the streets asking, was this a CMG-financed move, or did Big Jook run the play solo? Because if that money trail can be traced back to CMG, even indirectly through Jook, Yo Gotti's whole empire could end up staring straight into the feds' spotlight. At that point, this isn't just rap beef anymore. It's looking like a full-blown organized conspiracy, and the shadows around it are getting darker by the day. Big Jook was taken out in January 2024, less than a year before Govan's trial. And that timing is way too sketchy to ignore. By then, Govan was already in custody, and the word in the wind was that he might flip. Then suddenly, Jook is gone. Some folks swear it was retaliation from Dolph's people seeking payback. Others believe it was something much colder, a cleanup move to erase a key player before he could be used as leverage against bigger names. Now put that puzzle together. Govan's trial is sealed tight. He's out walking around on bond, and Yo Gotti hasn't breathed a word publicly about Jook's death. That kind of silence doesn't just sound respectful, it sounds calculated. Meanwhile, Gotti's been keeping a poker face in public, acting like nothing's wrong. But behind the scenes, people are wondering if he's quietly playing defense before the real storm hits. The awards, the big money deals, the picture-perfect Angela Simmons relationship. On the surface, Yo Gotti's been living like a king, but behind the scenes, there's a growing buzz that he's been quietly locking down CMG's operations, almost like he's bracing for a major hit to the camp, because if Govan starts name-dropping in that courtroom, the next obvious target could be none other than Yo Gotti himself. And here's why his name won't stop circling. And it's not just about what could go down in court in a few days. It's about the fact that the one man who might have been able to take the fall for him is no longer here. Big Jook wasn't just Gotti's brother. He was the money man, the logistics plug, and most importantly, the bridge between CMG and the alleged triggerman who carried out that move on Dolph. Jook's death hit Memphis like a silent bomb. No suspects, no arrests, just a high-ranking street figure taken out outside a restaurant only hours after laying a relative to rest.
Sources close to the family of rapper Yo Gotti confirmed the man killed outside a Hickory Hill event center is Gotti's brother.
But to anyone really paying attention, this didn't feel random at all. It felt personal, surgical, executed with precision. The chilling part, he was targeted right after attending a family funeral, in an environment calm enough for someone to make the play without any chaos, almost like it was meant to be over in seconds. Whether or not Big Jook was actually about to flip, just the possibility had people whispering. And in Memphis, that kind of talk is enough to put a target on your back. The part that really keeps the streets buzzing, how Yo Gotti moved after the fact. Or better yet, how he didn't move. No statements, no emotional posts, no public defense of his brother's name. That silence was louder than any press release could ever be. Because here's the thing. If Jook had been working alone, or if his death had been some random, unrelated street beef, you'd expect Gotti to come out swinging, clearing the air. But he didn't. And that's why people can't shake the idea that this wasn't just revenge, but possibly a calculated cleanup job to keep certain names off paperwork, especially with the feds circling and the Dolph case warming back up. Some even believe taking Jook off the board bought Gotti valuable time, a little breathing room to tighten up his legal game before anyone came knocking. But losing Jook was only the first domino to fall. His personal life took a hit too. Not long after his brother's death, Angela Simmons didn't make a scene, didn't go messy, she just walked away. Quiet, respectful, on her own terms. Just weeks before Hernandez Govan's long-delayed trial was finally locked in to begin, Angela Simmons dropped the quiet bomb. She and Yo Gotti were officially done. No screaming match, no messy social media shade, just a soft-spoken breakup laced with phrases like all love and it was my choice. But anybody really reading between the lines could feel the tension hiding under that polished delivery. Her talk about being in a growing and healing season sounded sweet enough, but paired with the fact that her exit came right before one of the biggest legal moments of Gotti's career, that timing spoke volumes without her having to say a word. Sure, some folks blamed his non-stop schedule or even his rumored closeness with Glorilla, but others saw something deeper. The kind of legal smoke that makes high-profile names start rethinking who they're standing next to and what that loyalty could cost them. Angela's no rookie to this game. She knows once the feds start circling, the headlines don't just hit the target, they splatter onto everyone in the frame. And with whispers about this case still tied to a major street plot and an active federal investigation, being in Gotti's orbit could have put her directly in the splash zone. To many, her decision to leave when she did wasn't random heartbreak. It was chess. A strategic, quiet step out of the blast radius before anything blew sky high. Now with Angela gone, Gotti's circle feels smaller than ever. No brother, no ride or die, just pressure building, the heat closing in, and a trial creeping closer by the day. But Angela wasn't the only one to quietly disappear from Yo Gotti's side. Black Youngsta did too. And you don't even need a breaking news headline to see something's off. All it takes is a quick scroll through his Instagram. This is the same man who made a name for himself going viral, flashing stacks of cash, clowning his rivals, and turning every post into a wild production. Now, dead silent. For someone who built his entire image on being loud, flashy, and even making it known he wanted to see Dolph out of the picture, this sudden vanishing act isn't just odd, it's unsettling. By 2025, Youngsta's presence has nearly evaporated, and both fans and industry insiders are clocking it. Some say he's laying low on purpose, maybe even following direct orders from Gotti to avoid drawing any extra attention while the Govan trial creeps up. But others think it runs way deeper. Whispers say he might already be under heavy legal restrictions, or worse, sitting in custody with the whole thing kept quiet. CMG doesn't feel the same anymore. The whole camp's energy has shifted. Yo Gotti's name isn't getting shouted out like it used to. The flashy branding and wild flexes have been swapped for something cleaner, calmer, and more neutral. It's almost like the entire squad is moving in stealth mode on purpose, as if they can feel a storm brewing and nobody wants to be caught in the flood.
Angela Simmons, are you telling me right now you're in your single girl era again?
Yeah, I'm telling you that.
Black Youngsta's silence hits even harder when you remember his history with Dolph. The tension, the open disrespect, the back and forth shots in music and online. If anybody was going to speak up, it would have been him. But this time, nothing. Not a post, not a comment, not a whisper. Whether it's loyalty, fear, or part of a bigger legal game plan, nobody knows for sure, but the timing is just too perfect to ignore. At this point, the moves around CMG don't look random at all. They look coordinated, and if you've been paying attention to how the feds work, you already know the playbook. They start at the bottom, then work their way up. First, they snatch the shooters. Next, they lean on the middleman, then they corner the money man. And when the whole structure is mapped out and the loyalty starts cracking, that's when they make the final move. On the boss. Right now, Gotti's looking more and more like that end target. We've already seen the early stages. Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith are locked in, and word is one of them flipped, spilling key details about promised payouts and who allegedly handed down the orders. That's the kind of federal leverage that can flip a life sentence into a bargaining chip overnight. And right now, all eyes are locked on Hernandez Govan. If he's truly cooperating, the feds aren't just looking at street-level players. They're digging into who bankrolled, mapped out, and greenlit the move on Young Dolph. If Govan has handed over text threads, Cash App receipts, or anything tracing payments back to CMG leadership, that's the kind of evidence that can shift everything into RICO territory. And once the government can paint the picture that a hit was planned, funded, and executed through a structured network, the whole thing stops being street business and becomes a full-blown criminal enterprise in the eyes of the law. The pressure isn't just rising, it's at a boiling point. And all of this CMG storm loops right back to that infamous day in 2021 when Dolph was taken out in broad daylight at Makita's homemade butter cookies, an attack that shook Memphis to its core. What started as a tragic loss for the city is now unraveling into something far bigger, a layered, calculated operation that's being dismantled piece by piece. And if prosecutors can connect every dot from the shooters to the middlemen to the bankroll, then this stops being a local Memphis case and transforms into a full-scale RICO takedown, with the boss sitting at the very top of the target list. And if that day comes, Yo Gotti's name won't just get mentioned. It'll be splashed across paperwork in bold letters. An indictment like that would shake the entire Memphis rap scene to its core. Now, there's no official indictment yet, but the way Gotti's been moving lately, it's starting to mirror the exact pattern of someone bracing for one. He's not just quiet on social media, he's practically invisible. This is the same man who once repped Memphis on every stage, from red carpets to Rolling Loud, now fading into the shadows. That kind of retreat doesn't happen for no reason. It usually means serious legal plays are in motion behind closed doors. Meanwhile, Gotti's inner circle is crumbling piece by piece. Big Jook was taken out in public just as whispers about cooperation were picking up speed. Black Youngsta disappeared from the spotlight without a word, and Angela Simmons, she walked away quietly just weeks before Govan's trial date was locked in. One by one, the exits are stacking up, and they look a whole lot like Fallout. The real danger for Gotti? Cornelius Smith has already testified that Big Jook offered $100,000 to get Dolph out of the way, with Govan allegedly acting as the go-between. But here's the twist. That promised money was never fully paid. And when the streets and the courtroom both start asking why, the answers could land higher up the ladder than anyone's ready for. This is where the whole thing turns critical. Because in the streets and in the courtroom, broken promises often lead to broken silence. Hernandez Govan is the only major player in this case who's not behind bars or 6 feet under. And that fact alone has people convinced of one thing. He handed over something valuable. In a for-hire plot like this, the law doesn't care who physically pulled the trigger. Anyone who financed, planned, or knowingly made the move possible can be hit with the same weight of charges. If Govan turned over phone records, bank statements, or even showed how CMG funds might have been shifted in connection to the Dolph hit, that's more than enough to make the case. And the reason this trial is so pivotal isn't just about what's said in open court. It's about what's buried inside those sealed filings behind the curtain. Prosecutors don't lock cases down to protect the guilty. They do it to protect evidence still in play. And the fact that Govan's pretrial documents are hidden from the public screams that someone else is still under investigation. Here's the part that really hits. The feds have been using RICO to dismantle music crews for years, from Death Row to BMF to YSL. And if this CMG situation lines up the way some think it will, Memphis might be staring down the same kind of federal takedown that changed entire cities before. What starts as one violent act can snowball into an entire criminal enterprise in the eyes of the feds. And CMG is checking all the boxes. A label with real business structures, a paper trail of internal money flow, a history of high-profile conflicts, and undeniable connections to violent street incidents. The Dolph case isn't just being seen as a rap feud that spiraled out of control. Prosecutors are treating it like a planned contract carried out with an organized structure behind it. That's exactly the kind of setup that throws the door wide open for a RICO prosecution. And here's the kicker. In that kind of case, Gotti doesn't need to have pulled a trigger, sent a message, or been anywhere near the scene. All they have to prove is that he knew the plan existed and allowed his network to make it happen. If that hammer drops, it won't just be Yo Gotti's personal downfall. It'll be the collapse of one of the most dominant camps in Southern hip-hop history. And from the way the pieces are lining up, that collapse might already be in motion. When the dust settles, Memphis might never look the same again. So stay locked in. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's happening in our hood next. Because this story is far from over.
And it's really perpetuated by these record company owners that don't want the artists to get together and compare notes on them. Because if we could get together and compare notes, we might learn the game.
He died on Mr. Carter's birthday.
And Beyonce just did the halftime performance, and the license plate on that Cadillac was
Pimp C.
Thank you.
Sacrifice.
I got paid to be on Big Pimp. We didn't have that relationship. And to be honest, I don't think Pimp would have accepted a Jay-Z verse to be of equal value to him. So let's just break this bridge.
Just days before Pimp C was discovered lifeless in that Los Angeles hotel room, he made one final chilling phone call to Bun B. According to people close to them, Pimp told Bun straight up to watch his back. And here's the thing, Pimp C was never the type to speak in riddles or sugarcoat. If he had a problem with you, if he had an issue with the industry, he said it with his chest loud and clear. That raw honesty made him a real threat in certain circles because you always knew he meant every single word he spoke. And right before his passing, Pimp started talking way too much for some people's comfort. He was on a mission, pulling no punches, naming names, and calling out the biggest figures in the game. He pointed fingers at Jay-Z, accusing him of allegedly playing UGK dirty on royalties.
Gay rappers is. I know who let them models stick them dildos in them, and I know who did what, where, when, and why.
Wow.
So
Do you feel like expressing that right now?
Yeah,
Go ahead, no.
Say this again.
If you feel like saying it, go ahead.
Say this again. I'm proud of all the rappers in the South. I'm proud of everybody selling records in Atlanta. But everybody ain't my friend, and I don't like all y'all records. Now, if you want to diss me and get on, but see, you work at a radio station, and it's your job to ask me that question, and me being a real person is my job to know how to answer.
He dragged label executives through the mud, exposed fake street rappers, and even threw shade at moguls living double lives. Yep, Pimp C was turning the volume all the way up, and suddenly, just like that, he was gone. The autopsy labeled it complications from sleep apnea mixed with codeine, but for those who knew Pimp's history, his rivalries, and that last eerie phone call, the story just doesn't add up. Even his own mother stood up publicly, saying she believed her son didn't just pass naturally, she claimed someone poisoned him. So what exactly did Pimp C warn Bun B about in that last phone call?
All over the country, it wasn't like that back then. You could fly on an airplane and go to different places. In every city you went to, they had a different song on the chart. Might have been a local artist that was #1 at the time. But everywhere we went, somebody had a different record.
What had him so convinced that people were plotting against him, and what really went down in that hotel room that night? Pimp C was never the type to play nice when it came to exposing the music industry. Especially during those final interviews before his sudden passing in 2007, he was fired up about how Southern artists like himself and Bun B were constantly exploited, overlooked, and disrespected by big labels and powerful executives. In one of his final sit-downs with XXL magazine, Pimp straight up tore into the shady business, saying these people cared more about controlling the product and milking the culture for profit than ever giving artists the respect and fair checks they truly deserved. But XXL didn't let him slide. They tried flipping the script, accusing Pimp of being the one holding UGK back with his unfiltered mouth. They even asked him if he felt guilty for putting Bun B in a group with a man who was, in their words, too bullheaded and unfiltered. And Pimp wasn't having it. He clapped back hard, telling them, "You've been programmed to think I'm bullheaded. I just know what's really going on." Then he dropped bombs nobody saw coming.
When these two companies bought up all the radio stations and started controlling all the playlists and started putting handcuffs and bracelets on the DJs, they stopped all that. So everywhere you go, you hear the same record playing.
He claimed he knew which rappers were living double lives behind closed doors, who was faking their street stories, and who was really out here moving weight versus who just rapped about it. He even pointed out Slim Thug as the only rapper he personally saw rolling through Houston's malls solo. No bodyguards, no entourage, just a man standing on his own. Meanwhile, others, surrounded by security at all times. How you gonna be scared of the same neighborhood you claim you represent? That's exactly how Pimp C came at Houston rappers who thought they were stars. He told them straight up, "Ain't no stars down here, only stars in the sky." That line hit like a bomb because Pimp wasn't impressed by flashy chains, fake crews, or inflated egos. He wanted realness and nothing less.
I think he was poisoned, and there was someone with him when he passed who was a very shady, strange character. So there was actually a person of interest.
For Pimp C, authenticity was the only currency that mattered. He had zero patience for rappers putting on an act, pretending to be street when they never lived it. To him, those were corporate puppets, manufactured by labels to sell records but empty when it came to culture and respect. He would drag anybody who faked the grind, no matter how big their name was, because in his eyes, the truth always cut deeper than any chart position.
He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
And Pimp didn't just stop at local clout chasers. He went right at the East Coast industry gatekeepers. He called them out for hating on Southern rap, trying to box artists like him and Bun B out of the spotlight. Both men would later explain how Southern rappers were treated like outsiders. They brought the hits, they built movements, they ran the streets, but when it came to recognition and financial credit, the suits up north kept shutting the door. Bun B saw it as a cycle of exploitation, but Pimp turned the heat up even higher. He wasn't afraid to press names others wouldn't dare touch, including Jay-Z himself. Even after the success of Big Pimpin', Pimp and Bun were loud about feeling cheated out of both money and proper recognition. Pimp C looked at Jay-Z as a man who disrespected legends like Tupac, and that alone was enough to set him off. For Pimp, Pac wasn't just another rapper. He was a symbol of realness, a voice for the struggle, and proof you could fight back against corporate vultures in the game. So, when Jay threw shade at Pac, Pimp C felt like it exposed how far Jay had drifted away from the culture he claimed to represent. Now, when UGK linked with Jay for the 2000 smash hit, Big Pimpin', oh, the streets were lit.
Movements in the South that were very vital to a lot of people, and had certain things not happened, then the people that you see on TV today would not be there.
Yeah, like a Waffle House, I guess, with Tony Draper.
Waffle House is a perfect example of that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different record companies. I mean, you look at, you're just with Florida with them nominating Luke and the 2 Live Crew, which is, of course, the forebearers. But then, you know, you had Slip and Slide come out of that who did numbers, you know what I'm saying?
That record was everywhere, blasting from every car, every club, every radio station. But behind the scenes, man, it was tense, real tense. Pimp C wasn't the kind of man to hop on just any record, especially not one tied to somebody he didn't respect. And from day one, Jay's vibe rubbed him the wrong way. A lot of it went back to Jay's history of slick comments about Tupac. In the South, Pac's name carried heavy loyalty, and Pimp stood on that 10 toes down. According to UGK's then manager Tony Draper, when Rockefeller tried throwing money at the problem, Dame Dash even pulled out $1 million check just to get Pimp on board. But Pimp wasn't going for it. Taylor later revealed that Pimp told him flat out, give that money to Tupac's mama instead. What Pimp didn't realize, though, was that Jay was already on the line listening to every word of that conversation. Talk about awkward. Eventually, yes, Pimp Pimp agreed to jump on Big Pimpin'. But don't get it twisted. He and Jay were never cool like that. Not before, not after. Bun B himself admitted he had to work some serious reverse psychology just to get Pimp to even think about the collab.
So I called him instantly because I knew y'all niggas at the house.
Right.
I was like, yo, I'm excited. I got $1 million. This is it. Rockefeller is the shit. Hey, there's this shit. I called Pimp and these niggas fight. So I calmed them down. And then once Pimp locked in, he was like, wait a minute, Rockefeller. Ain't that where Jay-Z at? I was like, yeah. And I didn't get the connection. I was like, he was like, tell him to take that check over to Tupac mama and give it to him for stealing all Tupac shit. And I'm like, what?
I put him on that Pac life, boy. he went, once I let him hear that Tupac, he went on his mission.
And here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Jaguar Wright came out claiming Jay-Z didn't just try to block Pimp C's career. She straight up believes Jay may have had a hand in what happened to him in that hotel room. In early December 2007, Pimp C was checked into the Mondrian Hotel in West Hollywood, focused on music and prepping for an upcoming show with Too Short. Everything looked normal until the morning of December 4th, which just so happened to also be Jay-Z's birthday. That was the day Pimp was supposed to fly back home. But when his wife Chinara and his cousin Ed didn't hear from him at the airport, alarms started going off. Chinara called the hotel, staff went to his room, and that's when they found Pimp C unresponsive. He was only 33 years old, and the news sent shockwaves across hip-hop.
Yeah, Jay heard him. He heard him. Because I had to jump up and apologize for this nigga to clean that shit up quick. Because I was like, I didn't realize he was in the room. So when I seen Hov there, I was like, oh. And so I told him he had to come down and go see them and go talk to mama and go to lunch with, go to dinner with them and sit down and do it the right way, because that's just how Pimp did. If you didn't sit down and eat dinner with him and his mama, he ain't gonna break bread with you. That was just the game. Like, that's how he was raised. He had studied music. It was different, man. He knew music from the Conservatory Music of Art. He had studied from an orchestra standpoint. His mom had invested in his career.
The coroner later labeled it accidental, saying Pimp passed from a mix of codeine use and sleep apnea, but not everyone bought that story. Too many things just didn't add up, and the timing alone had fans raising eyebrows. DJ Paul from 3-6 Mafia added more fuel to the fire when he said he got a call from Pimp's manager, Rick Martin, who had seen the body with his own eyes. And according to Rick, the scene did not look natural at all. He described the room as looking wild, like something violent had gone down, with marks and splatters that didn't match the peaceful story officials gave. He said Pimp was lying down as if he had been praying, but there were stains around him that sparked suspicion something else had happened. They even thought he might have been shot at first.
We didn't have that relationship. And to be honest, I don't think Pimp would have accepted a Jay-Z verse to be of equal value to him. So let's just break this bread and be done with it.
Right.
And to be honest, Pimp and Jay didn't really have a relationship in that sense. There was a lot of mutual respect, but Hov and I were always closer. Right. You know what I'm saying? I ended up getting a feature. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But no, it was really just about, like, we worked very hard to get where we are, and we're successful now for being purely who we have always said we were, riding dirty.
Pimp C was found knelt down like he was praying, and the detail that really shook people, those tall candles he always lit before sleeping were completely burned down. That told insiders he had likely been gone for at least a full day before anyone even realized it. The image was eerie, and it left too many unanswered questions about what really happened inside that hotel room. But the mystery didn't stop there. Word inside the circle was that Pimp's mother, Westlyn Mama West Monroe, was absolutely convinced her son had been poisoned. She never believed the official story, not for a second. Mama West had stood by Pimp through every chapter of his career, and she swore that what the authorities wrote down on paper didn't line up with the son she knew so well. Journalist Julia Beverly, who wrote Sweet Jones, Pimp C's Trill life story, confirmed that Mama West held firm to her belief until the end.
So to be who he was, so by the time people seen him, it was the counterculture of discovering hip hop and rap down there. And they were like a country version of Run DMC, him and Bun.
Great artists.
Or the new Ghetto Boys. It was like Jay Prince had them as the new Ghetto Boys. That's what they were. And luckily, the nigga moved to Atlanta. We was able to get him with Short, and Short just put the game down, and the rest was history.
Right.
So that caused a ruckus because when they missed the first 2 Jay-Z albums because of it. And the next time around, I knew not to call Pimp because him and Jazzy was beefing.
According to Julia, Pimp's mother believes somebody had been in that hotel room with him that night, and that person wasn't there to bring peace. They were there to bring harm. The rumors only got louder after Mama West spoke her truth. People in Houston and beyond started whispering that Pimp C's passing wasn't some random accident, it was a setup. Fans pointed out how Pimp had just started calling out big names, exposing secrets, and talking about money trails in interviews. Suddenly, his words felt like warnings instead of just rants. And here's where it gets wild. Some insiders claimed that Pimp had been paranoid in those final weeks. He was reportedly telling close friends to watch the people around them, hinting that powerful industry figures didn't want him speaking out.
Most critically acclaimed album we ever released, gold album, not one music video. You know what I'm saying? And to get to that point and to possibly in his mind throw it all away, because this dude want to pay you some money to do a verse on a beat that you would never rap to. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like a lot, and it took a lot to kind of bring him back around to the idea of being a part of it, to the point where I just like reverse psychology. Like, fuck it, don't do it then, fuck it. Like, don't even worry about it, fuck it, we ain't even gonna do it. I'm just telling niggas we ain't gonna do it, you don't wanna do it, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? All right, Pee-wee, fuck it, I'm a doubt. But Big Pimpin' was not like in his top 10 UGK songs. Like,
he didn't even want to do another one.
Those conversations, mixed with Mama West's belief that her son was poisoned, had people convinced that this wasn't just bad luck, it was bigger than that. Even Julia Beverly admitted that the vibe surrounding Pimp's last days was strange. She said Pimp was moving differently, almost like he knew the walls were closing in. Combine that with the fact that he was in LA, far from his home turf in Houston, and folks started asking why he was even left alone in that hotel room in the first place. Once the streets caught wind of Mama West's suspicions, the theories started flying everywhere. Fans weren't just whispering, they were straight up naming names. Some said industry moguls wanted Pimp C silenced because he was pulling receipts on how Southern rappers were being shortchanged. Others pointed fingers at rival artists who felt threatened by his raw honesty and weren't ready for the smoke he was bringing. And the wildest part, Pimp himself had already been hinting at this. In his last interviews, he claimed he knew exactly who was living double lives, who was lying in their raps, and who was really pulling strings behind the curtains. So when he suddenly passed, people took those statements like breadcrumbs, leading them to believe the same folks he called out might have had something to gain from shutting him down.
Why did that house burn up? Who the goes to their childhood house for a visit and the shit goes up in flames?
That was very weird. The next day, within a week?
And no, the next day.
The next day.
And still, no real investigation on how the house just went up in flames.
Man.
I guess they paid y'all off.
Meanwhile, Bun B was left carrying the weight of it all. He didn't just lose a partner, he lost a brother, a movement, a piece of UGK that could never be replaced. And even though Bun stayed composed in public, insiders say he was torn up behind the scenes, especially with all the conspiracy talk swirling around. Fans expected him to step out and point fingers too, but Bun stayed careful, choosing his words wisely while still protecting Pimp's legacy. Now circling back to that haunting final call between Pimp C and Bun B, it still gives chills. The fact that Pimp warned Bun to watch his back says everything. He wasn't just talking loosely, he clearly felt heavy pressure from the industry and from people he believed were watching his every move. Pimp C wasn't the type to get paranoid over nothing. He always stood firm in what he saw and heard. He understood exactly how the game worked, and he knew who was really pulling strings behind the curtains. That last warning wasn't just casual talk. It sounded like genuine concern from a man who had been seeing too much, saying too much, and was brave enough to call it out loud. And that's why fans still question the official story. Was his passing truly accidental, or was there more going on in that hotel room than what the reports told us? The timing, the details, and the whispers from insiders keep the mystery alive to this day. So now I'm asking you, what do you think? Do you believe Pimp C knew somebody was trying to silence him, or do you take the official explanation at face value? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with your people, and don't forget to subscribe, because you already know what's coming next in our hood is about to get even crazier.
Boosie going to jail! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. I just was waiting.
Things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over it.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer.
Boosie Badazz might be looking at a serious 10-year sentence in his federal case. And guess who came running to the spotlight to laugh about it? Charleston White. The moment Boosie's legal troubles hit the blogs, Charleston was on live like it was his personal holiday. He was grinning ear to ear, talking wild like he just hit the jackpot. He even said he knew this day was coming and that he'd been waiting on it with a smile. And then he really turned up, saying straight up that it wouldn't bother him one bit if Boosie never saw outside again. Meanwhile, Boosie had already told fans he was exhausted with it all. He said earlier this month that he agreed to a plea deal, not because he was guilty, but because the whole legal fight was draining him. He felt like giving in was the only move left, especially since the same case had already been thrown out once. But that didn't stop the system. Prosecutors came back again in 2024, pushing harder than ever. And now that plea could cost him a whole decade. So while Boosie's over here posting heartfelt prayers, talking about leaning on faith and how life's been weighing heavy on him, Charleston's online throwing his own twisted celebration. He's on camera like he just won a prize, calling it a victory, and making jokes like Boosie's pain is his entertainment. If you didn't already know, Boosie's been tied up in legal messes for years. But this right here, is the one that really got him caught up. The whole situation started when he was arrested for having a weapon on him, even though he wasn't supposed to. That's a charge that don't go away easy, especially in the feds. At first, things were finally looking up for Boosie. When the case got tossed out in 2023, fans were cheering, thinking their guy had made it through the storm.
Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
Folks really believed he was about to shift focus back to his music, his family, and just living life. But nope, the feds had other plans. In 2024, they circled right back, hit him with a new indictment for the same exact charge. Like they were saying, nice try, but we're not done with you yet. That's when Boosie had to face reality. He broke the news himself on X saying, I thought this case was over and I was gonna get on with my life, but God don't make mistakes and I'm tired of fighting. Just like that, he took the plea deal. But this wasn't just another case for him. It felt like the weight of everything he'd been outrunning finally caught up and sat heavy on his chest. He'd been carrying this for years. The stress, the pressure, the courtroom back and forth, it all snapped into one moment. And you could see it in his tone. The internet was flooded with messages of love and prayers from fans who'd ridden with him since day one. But even with all that, Boosie sounded different. This wasn't the same loud, trolling, always clapping back Boosie. This was a man worn down to the soul. His words were laced with faith, but also that quiet kind of heartbreak. The kind where you know something's slipping away and you can't stop it. It was raw, it was real, and people who've been watching him from way back know the truth.
Going to jail! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going.
Boosie's life has been full of close calls. From early Baton Rouge drama to court battles and serious health struggles, he's been dodging trouble from every angle. But something about this time just hits different. A possible 10-year sentence? That's no small thing, and every word Boosie typed carried that weight. You could feel it. He wasn't just posting, he was pleading with the universe to understand what he's going through. Meanwhile, Charleston White, he was on the exact opposite vibe, grinning like he won the lottery. He hit that live stream full of energy, basically bragging that he called it from the jump. He said he knew Boosie wasn't going to beat this case. And now that the outcome's looking serious, Charleston's practically throwing a party. He didn't hold back at all. He went so far as to say wild things about Boosie's future behind bars, crossing the line so far that even his own followers were like, wait, what did he just say? But let's be real. This is Charleston White we're talking about. The man built his whole brand off being the loudest, most reckless troll in the culture. And right when Boosie was probably still sitting there trying to absorb what just happened, Charleston was already cracking jokes and turning it into a viral moment. The timing, cold. Now, Charleston going off online isn't anything new. He's been doing this for years. But when it comes to Boosie, it's not just trolling anymore. It feels personal.
The feds picked it up.
Now, it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up. They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor. And the case got dropped by the judge. The case got dropped.
Every single time Boosie catches a case or hits a rough patch, Charleston is right there, front row, mic in hand, laughing like he rehearsed for it. It's gotten folks wondering, what's really behind this? Why does Charleston go so hard every single time Boosie stumbles? This ain't just internet beef, this is history, this is tension. This whole mess really kicked off back in late 2022, right around the time Kanye West sent the internet into a frenzy with that White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie wasn't having it. He stepped up and called you out, saying he was being straight up disrespectful to the black community. And honestly, a lot of folks agreed with Boosie that day, but Charleston White, oh, he wasn't about to let that slide. He jumped online and went off on Boosie, like Boosie had no right to speak on Kanye at all. And that's when things spiraled from petty to just plain foul. Instead of keeping it between grown men, Charleston took it somewhere completely different. He dragged Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, right into the drama. And not just him, he pulled T.I.'s son, King Harris, into the mess too. He called them names, clowned their looks, said they couldn't fight, and even made nasty predictions about where they'd end up.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, it's Kanye West, it just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me, it's just, you know, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. You can't take no risk of losing this behind, you know.
It was messy, real messy. That's when folks started realizing Charleston wasn't just playing some internet character. He was seriously out to cut deep, and he didn't care how far he had to go, even bringing up people's kids. That's a different level of low. But what really shocked people? Boosie kept it cool. Instead of clapping back with fire like most expected, he stayed calm and strategic. In an interview with Tony the Closer, he explained that reacting the wrong way could land him in serious trouble, especially when kids get brought into the mix. He knew the system was watching, and one wrong move could flip everything. So instead of snapping like people expected, Boosie played it smart. He held back. He kept his response cool and calculated. In that interview, he laid it all out clear as day. Boosie wasn't scared of Charleston, not even a little, but he knew Charleston's whole game was bait. Say the wrong thing, and boom, trouble with the law again. So Boosie chilled. He bit his tongue. On the outside, he stayed calm, but on the inside, that fire was still burning. By the start of 2023, the drama had leveled up. Things were no longer just petty jabs online. It was full-on tension. Charleston was already clowning T.Y. over his paperwork party, doing the absolute most as usual. Then Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, jumped in the mix.
I wasn't gonna go to trial with it from the dump, actually, but I feel like this the right move for me. You know, I trust in God.
He clapped back at Charleston, calling him old, dusty, messy, and even told him to disappear for good. That's when Charleston lost it, again. He hopped on live and said something so outrageous, it had folks staring at their phones like, did he really just say that? He straight up said he hoped Boosie's health would take a turn and that he wouldn't get his medication 1 month. It was wild, cruel, and way beyond trolling. And why? Just to mess with Tootie. That's the kind of low Charleston is willing to go. Then, just when the internet was still buzzing over that, Tootie got arrested later that month in a situation involving firearms. And guess who showed up the very same day, taking credit like it was his personal win? Charleston White. He popped out like he had planned the whole thing, bragging, celebrating, making it all about himself. Charleston White took things to a whole new level, and proudly. He went online bragging about how he called the police on Boosie's son, Tootie. He claimed he sent in photos, dropped tips, and hit up the Department of Public Safety like he was part of law enforcement himself. But it didn't stop there.
Going to jail, all that newborn baby. Won't get the Boosie, won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
He even said authorities were already watching Tootie because Boosie was, in his words, a repeat offender who used kids to handle street business. That right there, that was the turning point. The second this beef stopped being just words and started affecting people's real lives. Less than 3 months later, Boosie himself got picked up again, this time in San Diego, right after stepping out of a courtroom. And guess who couldn't wait to log on and celebrate like it was some type of holiday? Charleston White. He jumped on Instagram Live and said it was all God's plan. He went full preacher mode, comparing Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den. He tried to flip Boosie's arrest into a whole spiritual message, like Boosie was being tested by a higher power and prison was part of some divine lesson. People were confused. Some thought he was being sarcastic. Others thought he was dead serious. Either way, it came off disrespectful as ever, like he was using Boosie's pain as content.
In jail, waiting for the FBI to send me the right collar number, because I'm finna make a report on your mother people. And you make the man call your name specifically. The promoter specifically said your mother name, Lil Boosie. He implemented you and implicated you. Finna go to jail, back to jail. You gonna be on your knees, but them knees gonna be big.
Fast forward a few months and Boosie finally addressed it on Vlad TV. He revealed that he didn't even want Vlad giving Charleston a platform after the things he said about his son. Boosie made it clear, this ain't about fear. So yeah, Boosie kept his cool on the surface, but you could feel it. Charleston White was living rent-free in his head, no doubt. He was becoming more than just a troll. He was a shadow following Boosie everywhere. Then came early 2024, and the beef went next level. It wasn't just interviews and live streams anymore. It was everywhere. Aiden Ross was supposed to have Boosie on his stream. That could have been a big move. But Boosie reportedly turned it down because he didn't want any connection to Charleston. Simple as that. But then Aiden flipped the whole script. He hopped online claiming he turned Boosie down out of respect for Charleston White. And just like that, the lie started spreading like wildfire. It was all over socials until DJ Vlad stepped in and shut it down. He dragged Aiden hard, reminding everyone that Charleston had literally said the most outrageous things in the past, including praising people no one should ever praise and denying real historical tragedies. Vlad wasn't holding back. That whole incident proved something major. Charleston's name had reach. Even young influencers and streamers were using it for attention, like clout off his chaos was a trend now. But Charleston wasn't slowing up. Not even close. Later that March, he popped back online with another accusation.
Really, I ain't really got no opinion on him because, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really, I ain't really got no opinion on him, once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you out of line. So, I ain't the one gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison. And I ain't getting tricked off.
This time claiming that Boosie had warned promoters not to book him. He twisted it into a full-blown rant, saying it was threats and that he had already tipped off the feds again, like he was waiting for any reason to pull out the big guns. And to top it off, he threw Boosie's health back in the mix, again, just to make it personal, just to sting deeper. And of course, he went live swearing that this time he was gonna get Boosie caught up for real with the FBI on speed dial. Once again, Charleston didn't come with receipts, just a loud mouth and a whole lot of drama. But here's the thing, he said it loud enough and often enough that people started running with it. And that's the scary part. Even Boosie admitted in an interview that he's been getting phone calls from dudes already inside the system asking, so when you pulling up? Can you imagine that? Boosie's out here trying to hold his life together, already staring down a federal sentence. And dudes in prison are joking like his bunk's already reserved. That's not just disrespect, it's humiliating. And Charleston, he knows exactly what he's doing. That kind of psychological pressure, it's calculated. But here's another piece of the puzzle people are whispering about. Boosie didn't even want to go through a trial. He took that plea quick. And honestly, can you really blame him? Imagine for a second if Charleston White had actually pulled up to court. You already know he would have turned that whole courtroom upside down.
Like for Boosie, you done got too much. You done let these niggas play you too motherfuckers. This internet dumb and it. Say what Lil Tootie gonna do now? What Lil Tootie say? Listen, Vlad TV. Vlad post everybody going to jail but Boosie. Somebody tag Vlad TV.
Testifying, pointing fingers, live streaming in the parking lot, and breaking the internet with interviews 5 minutes later. The man thrives on chaos, and the courtroom would have been his biggest stage yet. And let's be real, it's not even that far-fetched. Charleston has openly admitted he cooperates with law enforcement and isn't ashamed of it. He's not pretending to play street. According to several reports, back when he was just 14, Charleston was caught up in a robbery with a group of teens. During the incident, one of the others, Antoine Doolittle, allegedly fired a shot that led to a serious tragedy involving a man named Michael Levy. That case followed Charleston for years, and he's never shied away from bringing it up. In fact, he uses that past as a badge, claiming he made it out because he was smart enough to play the system. When it came time to face the judge, Charleston White took the stand and testified. In street culture, especially with how things play out online, that move is a huge no-go. Even though he was just a teen at the time, folks never let it slide. They still call him out for turning on someone from his own crew. But here's what makes Charleston different. He doesn't hide from it, not even a little. He's owned it every step of the way. His defense, I was young, I was in court, and I told the truth. That's not snitching, that's survival. He said it with his chest like he truly believes he had no other choice, and he even calls it a smart move that helped him escape a bad life. But now, here's where it gets messier.
Street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, son, what happened? Mama, I didn't do that. I got a paid for lawyer. I got two lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stearns. Louis Stearns became Judge Stearns, Judge Louis Stearns. But nigga, I had two paid for lawyers. My mama is a well-to-do mama. I'm just playing, I ain't playing. I'm an adolescent going through an adolescent stage of rebelliousness. I ain't no street. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy.
Footage from that old juvenile case recently resurfaced, and when it hit the internet, things exploded all over again. People started dragging Charleston left and right, calling him a full-blown hypocrite. They were saying, you can't spend your days calling rappers snitches, then turn around and brag about snitching yourself. And the clip people keep posting, it's him on record speaking his truth, but also giving others the ammo they need to call him out. So how does Charleston respond? He doubled down. He said flat out that he's never lived by no street code and never claimed to. He said he doesn't care who's mad, period. But the twist, he still calls other rappers rats like it's the worst thing in the world, while at the same time standing tall in his own confession. It's the contradiction that's got people scratching their heads. So when you stack up the timeline, it's no surprise folks are giving Boosie the side eye for skipping trial and locking in that plea deal. Let's be real. The last thing he wanted was to roll the dice in a courtroom where Charleston White might show up out of nowhere and start putting on a circus. We're talking about the same man who brags online about calling the cops, tipping off the feds, and proudly admits he testified as a teen. If Charleston even smelled a chance to step in that courtroom, you already know he would have been there suited up and loud, making it all about him. Imagine it. Charleston standing in court, pointing across the room like it's a stage, cracking jokes, then going live outside the courthouse saying, yep, I helped put Boosie away. That's not some made-up scenario. That's exactly the type of move he lives for. And that's why Charleston is celebrating so hard right now. To him, this isn't just another rapper getting jammed up. It's a personal victory. It's karma finally showing up just like he predicted. Every time he mocked Boosie, every time he dragged Tootie, every rant, every live, it's all led up to this moment. And when you trace it all the way back to that first shot in 2022, you start to see the pattern. The shade wasn't random. The trolling had a target. Maybe Charleston's been praying for this exact moment. Boosie staring down the barrel of a possible 10-year stretch. Right now, Boosie's still out, but with that plea deal on the table, things are looking real. A full decade behind bars is no small thing. And Charleston, he's already online clowning like he won the championship belt. The streets are watching. Some folks are laughing, others are holding their breath, waiting to see if that final gavel comes down. But here's the part that hits the hardest. If Charleston is this loud while Boosie's still walking free, just imagine the chaos he'll cause if Boosie actually gets sentenced. Like, share, and subscribe, and tap in to see what's going down next in our hood. Because this drama, it's far from over.
So I did not want to go back and forth with Cat Williams like that. That bothered me so bad. That really bothered me.
The exclusive security video from the Atlanta Comedy Theater in Gwinnett County. You can see Wanda Smith and her husband by the front door.
It was a setup.
Right.
And remember, they tried to kill me this same weekend. Not in jokes. With a real gun in my real face on real camera. Understand I'm losing my life.
If you've been scrolling through socials this week, you already know the storm brewing around Cat Williams is back in full swing. The internet is dragging him all over again after that legendary radio clash with the late talk show host Wanda Smith. You remember the viral moment where Cat roasted her so hard on her own show that folks were left with their jaws on the floor. Now the drama has resurfaced with people saying Cat didn't just clown Wanda that day. He destroyed her career that she worked decades to build. Some are even throwing heavy shade, calling him a menace for embarrassing her like that. To make it even messier, this whole wave of outrage came right after Cat publicly apologized for mocking Michael Jackson in one of his old specials. And now fans are loud, demanding he give Wanda's family an apology too. But hold up, it's not all one-sided. Dave Chappelle stepped straight into the fire to back Cat up. He's telling folks that what went down wasn't bullying. It was comedy, raw and unfiltered, just the way Cat always delivers. Chappelle said Wanda came at him first, and Cat did what comedians do. He flipped the script right back, no hesitation.
If you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm gonna try to take everything away from you. And I don't care when I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out, you're fucking finished. Who's that? That's you.
And Chappelle didn't stop there. He blasted today's cancel crowd, saying people are out here digging through old interviews like treasure hunters, desperate to find dirt and drag comedians down for stuff that happened years ago. So the question now is, was Cat really out of line with Wanda? Or is this just another case of the internet rewriting history for clicks? And why is Dave Chappelle so quick to jump to his defense while Wanda's name is being thrown around like this again? This mess is heating up fast. So here's where it gets wild. Cat Williams recently shocked everybody when he came out and apologized to Michael Jackson's family, admitting he regrets all those jokes he used to fire off about MJ in his old specials. Cat said that looking back, he realizes he was just playing into a bigger system because the folks who signed his checks and gave him the stage had their own shady agenda.
Wherever you at under the sound of my voice, do you have a real co-worker?
Right.
Do you have a ratchet friend? Do you have a sister? Do you have a cousin? Do you have a nephew? Do you have a niece? Is they so ghetto? When did that become marketable? Knock it off. They like her because she want to sleep with a white man. That's why the only thing she said was, I want to give it to Brad Pitt. The only thing before that in the movie with me is I slept with this white man and I got a white baby.
According to Cat, that agenda was all about pushing black men to tear down other black men for laughs and profit. But the moment Cat tried to own up to his past, social media came swinging. Instead of applauding him, they started calling him a hypocrite and dragging his name, saying he owes a long list of people apologies. Not just Michael's family, but Wanda Smith's too. People are throwing that old Atlanta interview back in his face like it happened yesterday, saying his roast didn't just sting, it crushed Wanda's rep for years. One user blasted him online writing, Cat Williams is a menace for what he did to Wanda Smith. Another came through saying, I remember when Cat Williams went in on Wanda Smith and the whole Atlanta laughed right along with him. It was funny at the time, but Cat gets beside himself way too much disrespecting people. And now Wanda Smith passed and everybody in Atlanta want to act like they always had her back. This right here is the part that's cutting deep, because fans aren't just talking about jokes anymore. They're saying Cat crossed the line from comedy into career-ending humiliation. I would haunt you lames. That's the energy flying around right now, because not everybody is dragging Cat Williams. Some folks are standing tall for him, And leading the pack is none other than Dave Chappelle himself. Dave actually compared Kat's Wanda drama to his own battles with cancel culture when the world tried to come for him over his trans jokes. Chappelle doubled down, saying, comedy is the last arena where free speech still exists, and if comedians let the crowd silence them, then the art form itself is dead.
I do a really nice broccoli. They like my broccoli, and they love my baked chicken.
Hey, right now, look up your phone and see what it takes to make broccoli, and tell me does it say heat up water?
Shut up.
Is that the only step in broccoli? Heat up water?
Whatever.
Have you ever heard of burned broccoli? Can you burn broccoli?
That's some heavy backing right there. But let's keep it real. This isn't just about cancel culture anymore. There's a darker side to this story that doesn't get the spotlight enough. Kat once claimed that Wanda and her husband actually tried to run up on him after that interview, like the roast went beyond jokes and turned into real-life beef. Imagine that, an on-air comedy clapback sparking street-level retaliation. To give the full picture, we gotta rewind back to September 2018. Kat and his fellow comedian Red Grant stopped by Frank and Wanda in the morning while Red was promoting a run of shows in Atlanta. What was supposed to be a regular 20-minute chit-chat ended up becoming one of V103's most legendary viral clips ever. And it wasn't by accident. Kat flipped that interview upside down.
She had a white husband for the 14 years she been doing comedy, and then all of a sudden divorced him, then said he abused her, then wrote a book, then said he didn't. And then now we're at Brad Pitt. So, hey, you can say whatever you want. She said she got a disease for JJ. Don't nobody check for that. I support Linnell, Melanie Camacho, Miss Laura. All the people that got skipped over in the list between now and then. It's no shade to nobody. We are in the only business where, as a black woman, what you look like is not supposed to be held against you. And time again, they show you that you can be sidetracked by anything light-skinned.
At first, everything seemed cool. The jokes were light, the vibe was playful, but when Wanda tried to throw shade and stumbled, Kat turned the whole table around with precision roasting that had people crying with laughter. And just when folks thought it couldn't get any hotter, Kat shifted gears and started talking about Tiffany Haddish, pointing out how she landed a major Netflix bag without ever grinding on the road like most comics had to. Kat didn't stop there. He went straight for Tiffany Haddish's credibility. He claimed nobody could name a single original joke Tiffany ever wrote. And then he cracked open a bigger conversation. How so many insanely talented black women in comedy get ignored and sidelined by Hollywood, while someone like Tiffany gets pushed to the front without even putting in the same grind. That had the whole room tense. According to Kat, Tiffany wasn't chosen because of her grind or her pen game. He swore she was the safe pick, handpicked by the suits at the top to charm mainstream white audiences. That's when Wanda Smith tried to jump in to defend Tiffany, saying Tiffany blew up because she's real.
This might be the noblest of professions. Robin Williams had a bar that I loved. He said comedy is the only job you can have where you can use everything you know. And that's true. You can use more than you know. If you use what you think, use it. Don't be afraid. Don't let these bitch-ass niggas button your lip. Say it anyway.
But Kat wasn't buying that at all. He clapped right back, saying Tiffany only rose to the top of the black female comedy scene for two main reasons. She always talks about dating white men, and she's got lighter skin. The studio went dead silent for a moment, then chaos. And Kat didn't hold back. He even threw out Tiffany, wherever you at, like he was calling her out directly. By then, the vibe between Kat and Wanda was already awkward and tense, but Wanda wasn't about to let it slide. Instead of dropping it, she tried to flip the script by coming at Kat with a slick little jab about his cooking skills for his kids, thinking she could turn the crowd on him. Kat wasn't holding back, not even a little bit. He started unloading verbal smackdowns one after another, slicing through Wanda's questions like a blade. When she tried to poke fun with, "That's dope, you cook. Do you cook for your kids?" Kat twisted it around so fast, it was like he was running the whole interview. For a brief second, it almost looked like they shared a laugh, and the tension might cool down. But that moment vanished quick. Kat swerved straight into Wanda's family life, bringing up her kids. And suddenly, the interview wasn't just funny banter anymore. It turned into a full-blown comedy beatdown, live on air. At first, Wanda tried to play it off with some giggles, but you could see it in her face. She was fuming under the surface.
Some of the things you cook that they are proud of, like, Dad made some. You got the best spaghetti. You got the best steak. What do you have? Say, what do they like?
Just because you're a poor interviewer doesn't mean.
I said you answer the question and just tell me.
Man, you're a
what they
strong
like.
black woman. Is it okay for me to answer?
Come on.
You keep interrupting the answer. Everyone can hear it. It sounds like you like me a little bit. It's starting to bleed over the airwaves.
She made a desperate attempt to flip the energy by dragging Kat's messy past into it. His arrests, his court cases, even clowning his hair. But that plan backfired bad. Instead of getting control back, Wanda was feeding Kat even more ammo. At one point, when Wanda's hands started flying as she talked, Kat jumped in with slick one-liners, roasting her every move. Near the end, Wanda tried to land one final jab, calling him Lil Mama, and even hinting that he might be gay. But Kat didn't let that ride. He shut it down instantly, flipping the insult back on her and making the audience laugh even harder. By then, it wasn't a fair fight anymore. It was Wanda on her own turf, getting humiliated in front of her city and the world. But then everything went from comedy to chaos. Wanda couldn't shake off the humiliation from that interview, and the tension exploded in real life. Reports say she allegedly sent her husband and even her son to confront Kat. Yeah, it got that serious. The showdown went down on September 15th, 2018, right outside the Atlanta Comedy Theater, where Wanda was hosting her own comedy night. That's when her husband, Lamorris, pulled up in the parking lot, and things spiraled quick. Witnesses claimed he came strapped, and the whole scene was caught on security footage. The video showed a heated moment between Wanda and Kat, but it turned into pure chaos once her husband appeared and started chasing after him. What was supposed to be a night of laughs turned into a street-level showdown. According to the police report, Lamorris later admitted he did chase Kat, but swore he never pulled the trigger or even aimed a gun. He claimed the weapon just slipped and fell while he was running.
I have 3 boys.
Excellent.
Yes, I do.
Aren't boys simple? Aren't boys simple?
They can be. They can be.
Wanda knows she
I'm what?
She didn't do as much cooking in the latter years as she did in the beginning.
Whatever. I cook. I do it all.
I didn't say that you
Well,
didn't.
that's all right. I did it in the beginning and the middle and the end.
What's your favorite thing to cook? Your boys, yeah.
They like for me to. I do a really nice broccoli. They like my broccoli and they love my baked chicken.
Hey, right now, look up your phone and see what it takes to make broccoli, and tell me it doesn't say heat up water.
But the story didn't line up for everybody, because if nothing happened, why was Kat ducking into a grocery store like his life was on the line? Wanda had her own spin too. On her radio show, days later, she painted Kat as the villain, saying he rolled up just to clown her again, and her husband only stepped in to protect her name. But then came the bombshell. TMZ dropped the raw security footage, and clear as day, it looked like Lamorris had that gun in his hand, chasing Kat down like it was a scene from a movie. Now, to be fair, that infamous video never actually showed Lamorris pointing the gun directly at Kat, and Lamorris himself kept insisting he wasn't trying to shoot anyone, just scare him off. But even with his denial, the damage was done. The drama didn't just vanish, it lingered heavy in Atlanta's air. Fast forward to January 2019, and Wanda suddenly got the boot from V103 Atlanta. The station never gave an official reason, but the streets were buzzing with speculation. A lot of folks linked it straight back to that radio showdown with Kat, especially those Lil Mama comments where Wanda used gay as an insult. And in Atlanta, a city with one of the largest and proudest Black LGBTQ communities, that move didn't sit right with a lot of people. It's no secret that could have played a big role in why her time at the station came to an end. Meanwhile, Kat stayed quiet. He didn't gloat, didn't comment, at least not right away. For years, he let the whole Wanda saga breathe, like he didn't even want his name tied to her downfall.
I shouldn't have, honestly. Like, some of these things are the reason that the enemy decides to go ahead and let you be famous, is your ability to tear down your own kind, no matter how high they are.
But then came January 2024, when Cat pulled up to Club Shay Shay and finally told his side of the story. And his version flipped the narrative all over again. According to Cat, the real beef didn't start in the interview. It started before the cameras even rolled. He claimed Wanda promised she wouldn't dig into his kids or his legal troubles. But the moment he started talking about Tiffany Haddish, Wanda cut in and broke that deal, bringing up his children and his jail time live on air. That's when, according to Cat, everything spiraled out of control and turned into the roast we all saw. Cat didn't hold back when he finally opened up. He claimed Wanda was deliberately trying to humiliate him in front of her loyal gay fan base. And in his eyes, that's the real reason she lost her spot on the radio and slowly faded out of the spotlight. Cat made it sound like Wanda dug her own grave in the industry by crossing the line live on air, but he didn't stop there. He also circled back to that ugly night with Wanda's husband, saying the whole thing felt like a setup from the jump. Cat even went as far as to claim Wanda tried to get him taken out, all over a joke. That turned what people thought was just comedy beef into something much darker, something that looked like a real-life ambush.
You're good at telling us about what's going on in jail.
Yes, ma'am, and getting out to tell you.
Station Viewer 3, your hair is kind of...
That joint was...
My hair is 19 inches long and I have no perm.
You don't?
Oops.
Oh, that's not a perm.
No, it is not. Nice lady.
That's natural.
Come run one of your gnarled fingers. While you on air, so they can hear you live.
Come on, let me come over here.
No. That's not how that works.
Oh, okay. Well, then stay over there.
Don't worry, ain't nobody putting their hands through yours.
That's right. They don't have to. I don't want them to. Get on out of here. You okay? You okay?
Only one of our hands moving while we talk.
Are you all right this morning?
Then came October 2024, and the story took its most tragic turn. Wanda Smith sadly passed away just one day after celebrating her 58th birthday. And when the news broke, people were watching Cat's every move, but he stayed silent. No public condolences, no tribute, no words at all. For some fans, that silence was the ultimate sign of respect. Like Cat refusing to fake sympathy for someone who once tried to take him down. But others saw it differently, calling him cold and saying he could have at least acknowledged her passing. And let's be real, nobody knows if Cat ever reached out privately to Wanda's family after her passing. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But what's crazy is how social media is now digging up this old wound.
Get this inmate out of here.
If you can't get your blood pressure down, you can't call me down.
Whatever, little mama.
If your cholesterol is 600.
Whatever, little mama.
I'm little mama's baby daddy.
No, you little mama.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey,
and what are you, girl? You probably shouldn't talk about sizes.
Oh, that's okay.
You big on the radio.
That's right. And you're big
Turn
in
it
prison.
down.
And you're
yes,
big
ma'am.
in prison.
I've never been to prison.
You have
19 felonies,
times.
no convictions.
Yeah,
Knock it off. Prison and jail aren't the same. No.
Okay.
No.
And trying to cancel him all over again, when this man literally said he almost lost his life because of that roast turned street fight. That's not just messy, that's wild. The whole situation actually proves exactly what Dave Chappelle warned about. Cancel culture doesn't just go after mistakes, it hunts down comedy itself. When comedians can't even clap back in a roast without the internet rewriting history years later, what does that mean for the art form? Are jokes supposed to come with disclaimers now? So here's the question. Should Cat really apologize to Wanda's family the way he did to Michael Jackson's? Or is this just the crowd doing too much, dragging up the past for clicks, clout, and chaos? Some folks say Cat owes that family respect. Others say comedy is comedy, and Wanda stepped into the ring knowing what could happen. I want to hear from you. Do you think Cat Williams crossed the line, or is this another example of cancel culture reaching way too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and stay tuned to see what's popping next in our hood.
I feel like, man, whatever you do wrong must come back around in a circle. Just like you know what I'm talking about? If you did wrong and everybody know it's blatant, the truth is out in the open. You sent that type of energy towards the Young Dolph way, and you got Young Dolph knocked off. I talked to Govan. I did an interview with Hernandez Govan, the dude who set the whole supposedly, you know what I'm saying, Dolph murder up.
What's the first thing you plan to do?
Go hug my son.
Mr. Govan, you haven't smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me just about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, you know.
It looks like CMG is breaking down right in front of our eyes. For years, whispers circled about cracks in Yo Gotti's empire, but those whispers just turned into loud alarms that can't be ignored anymore. Stan G, one of the most tapped-in voices out of Memphis, went on No Jumper and finally said out loud what so many were too nervous to even hint at. Yo Gotti might actually move against his very own artist, Black Youngsta. And let's be clear, this ain't just internet trolls stirring the pot. This is coming from someone who's face-to-face with the streets, someone who's interviewed the same people connected to the Young Dolph situation, someone with receipts. So when Stan G speaks, this isn't just gossip, it's a major warning. He didn't sugarcoat a thing on No Jumper. He came straight out and said it. The same energy Yo Gotti put on Young Dolph is the exact energy that led to all that chaos. And then Stan G doubled down, saying if Gotti could go that far with a known rival, what makes anybody think he wouldn't aim that same energy at people in his own camp when things start to get messy? That's the type of statement that shook the whole conversation. Stan G basically painted Black Youngsta as the one Gotti would throw into the spotlight whenever something reckless needed to be done. The wild music videos, the crazy antics, the beefs that most rappers wouldn't dare to touch. At first, that made CMG buzz like never before, turning heads and keeping people talking nonstop. But now with the Dolph case still weighing heavy and the streets watching every move, Stan G says that same role flips the script, making Youngsta look less like an asset and way more like a liability. He even implied that Black Youngsta's position inside CMG is hanging by a thread, like he's disposable once he stops serving the hype. And in Gotti's world, liabilities don't stick around for long. Fans caught it instantly. This wasn't some random history recap.
Hey man, y'all rich tell them bitch what it is, bro. YNW, y'all fly niggas. Look, CMG shit. Y'all rich niggas. Every count shit. Nah, I would never f them broke ass. Like, shit. When I was broke, why would I f them now they broke? It ain't my fault you broke. You were playing on me. I'm telling my mom you. Ooh, I'm pregnant. Ooh, my shoe just fell out. Ooh, my head just fell out. Ooh.
Stan G was laying out a straight-up warning. His message was loud and clear. Watch your back. He even reminded everyone that what you put into the game always comes back around eventually. And with the way Gotti operates, Youngsta's so-called loyalty might be the exact thing that flips on him. That's when the whole picture starts looking real shaky. For a long stretch, CMG had the crown. Yo Gotti built the kind of roster labels dream about. Moneybag Yo had the charts buzzing and the clubs locked down. Black Youngsta was the headline magnet, pulling stunts and keeping CMG on everybody's lips. Then Glorilla came in like a storm and blew up almost overnight, turning CMG into a household name. From the outside, it looked like one big happy family, winning together, riding for each other, no cracks showing anywhere. But fast forward to right now, and that family photo don't line up with reality anymore. Moneybag's buzz slowed way down, and the momentum he once had ain't hitting the same. Black Youngsta doesn't seem to carry the same spark that once made him CMG's wild card. And Yo Gotti, he's been locked in on Glorilla, pouring all the spotlight and attention her way. But even she's under crazy pressure, because at this point, she's basically the only one carrying the whole brand on her shoulders. Instead of looking like a tight-knit empire, it's starting to feel like a game of survival. Who's really safe and who's next to get left behind? Then came the move that had everybody talking. Black Youngsta suddenly took CMG out of his bio and started posting captions that looked like subliminal shots. That's when things stopped feeling like playful trolling and started looking way more serious. Fans caught it instantly and the conversation flipped. This wasn't just jokes anymore. It was tension spilling out in plain sight. Every new post from anyone in CMG started looking shady.
Put out a story, the other day I put out a story, Young Mob had ended up catching a RICO, you know what I'm talking about, and I put out a story. An hour later, the news ran the same story.
Every comment felt like a clue, and that old talk about loyalty just didn't sound the same anymore. And right in the middle of that storm, Stan G dropped his warning. Loud, bold, and impossible to ignore. That's what made everybody sit up and pay attention. Because if Stan G is calling it out, it means there's something bigger brewing under the surface, something CMG can't just sweep under the rug. To really see why things are this tense between Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta, you gotta rewind back to the Young Dolph situation. That's the root of it all. Years back, Gotti wanted Dolph on CMG, but Dolph turned him down flat. And from that moment, everything shifted. Instead of letting it go, Gotti started blocking moves, trying to put roadblocks in Dolph's career. But the crazy part, it backfired. Instead of slowing him down, Dolph only got bigger, shining harder, and turning that rejection into fuel for his rise. That's when the beef got louder. Diss tracks, public shots, and non-stop tension out in the open. And Black Youngsta, he was right there at the front line. He wasn't just rapping diss records, he was pulling up in neighborhoods, dropping wild videos, and making bold moves most rappers wouldn't even dare to touch. Back then, people brushed it off as just part of Black Youngsta's image, loud, wild, and untouchable. But looking back now, it wasn't just antics, it was flat out reckless. Even Stan G called it a federal move, because Youngsta was putting himself in situations that could only bring serious heat right back on him. And when Dolph lost his life in Memphis, all eyes instantly turned towards CMG. Even though nothing was ever proven against Yo Gotti or Youngsta, the streets didn't wait for paperwork. They made up their minds quick. And once your name gets tied to something that heavy, it sticks forever. That's the dark cloud still hanging over CMG today. The shadow they just can't shake. And it's also the reason why Black Youngsta doesn't look like an asset anymore. He looks like a constant reminder of something the label wishes it could erase.
I didn't do it. Like, I could have went over there and got with Gotti and got the co-signer and sped my whole process up. But at the same time, I couldn't do it because I had too much of my own money and too much of my own time invested into it. So it wouldn't have made sense for me. You see what I'm saying? And man, it's like, that's Memphis, bro. That town is too small. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, if anything, if he wanted to do something, I wanted to do something, but it's like, let's do it. That town is small. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad to hear that. It's just Memphis one of them cities like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you pay attention, it always been a artist at the city saying, I'm the king of Memphis, I'm the king of Memphis. That's why it would be so hard for other artists to pop out and take off, because everybody want to be that I. The big one is just me.
There was a time when Black Youngsta was CMG's ultimate wild card, the life of the party, pulling off crazy stunts, clowning on social media, flashing stacks of cash, and keeping the label buzzing every single week. Whenever Yo Gotti needed the energy turned all the way up, Youngsta was right there, loud and loyal. Fans even saw him as the soldier of the crew, the one who would ride out for CMG no matter what. But Stan G didn't see it that way. In his eyes, Youngsta wasn't just being loyal, he was being used. Stan G straight up called him one of the biggest sendouts in Memphis, basically saying Yo Gotti would push Youngsta to handle the risky moves, take on the dangerous beefs, and play the crash dummy role Gotti never wanted to touch himself. Yo Gotti always played the calm, collected boss role, while Black Youngsta was the one wilding out on camera, keeping CMG flashy and unpredictable. But the problem is, roles like that don't last forever. After Dolph's end, all those stunts stopped looking funny and started looking flat out dangerous, instead of being CMG's spark.
At this point, because you lost all the his last artist is Glorilla. She doing crazy because he putting a crazy bag behind Glorilla. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? So Glorilla, she gonna shine regardless right now. But when he go over there and dealing with them Texas boys, them folk got hit up. Them folk got hit up everywhere he go to, like the Fed watching it. You know what I'm talking about? He signed that boy over here, that boy end up going to jail. So they watching that boy so close right now.
Youngsta turned into the one holding all the baggage. Every diss track, every cemetery stunt, every reckless moment, it all got tied right back to him. And now, he's gone quiet. Stan G even said Youngsta is in hide mode because the Dolph case is still hanging heavy over his name. To the streets, that makes him look finished. To Gotti, that makes him look like a liability, the type of person who could bring the wrong kind of spotlight on the team at the worst possible time. That's why it's getting harder and harder to deny that something ain't right. Black Youngsta has gone viral multiple times just for taking CMG out of his bio and hinting that he's independent. Every single time, fans go wild with speculation, debating whether he's really leaving or just trolling, and usually, after all the chatter, he ends up back around Gotti, business as usual. But this time feels different. Because right after all the tension and with Stan G's warning still ringing in the air, Youngsta started posting long rants online. And these weren't just random mood swings, these were loaded. He started calling out fake CEOs, and fake big homies, and fake brothers. All titles people have used when talking about Yo Gotti in the past. Then he doubled down, saying he was done with fake love, fake loyalty, and putting trust in the wrong people. What really shook people was how emotional Black Youngsta's posts came across. He wasn't just venting, he was talking about losing friends, being left alone, and even admitting that no matter how much money he had, he could still be touched. That's heavy.
Long time. See, it's a long story behind Black Youngsta. See, Black Youngsta was hanging with one of Gotti enemies before he got with Gotti. Okay. So Black Youngsta is somebody who just jump around for the money. He's just a send out. He one of the biggest send outs from Memphis. They're just keeping it real.
And let's be real, that doesn't sound like somebody clowning for likes. It sounds like somebody who feels the pressure closing in around him. The timing was way too perfect to brush off too. Fans were already whispering about CMG breaking apart. And then here comes Youngsta basically confirming through his own words that everything behind the scenes isn't smooth at all, even if he never drops Yo Gotti's name directly. Everyone caught the message instantly, and the conversations online went crazy. Now here's the part that hit even harder. Yo Gotti has always styled himself as a mob boss. His entire name comes from John Gotti, and he leans into that image heavy. So when Youngsta threw shade at fake CEOs and fake brothers, Gotti didn't ignore it. He clapped back the way only he knows how. He answered with mafia-coded bars, flipping lines over Jay-Z's iconic Dynasty intro, using rap as his way of flexing power, basically reminding everybody exactly who calls the shots at CMG. And in a structure built like that, more mob style than music label, breaking rank isn't just disrespect, it's flat out betrayal. And betrayal in that world doesn't end clean, especially when reputations and millions are tied up in the mix. That's why the tension between Black Youngsta and Yo Gotti feels bigger than just artist versus label. It feels personal, heavy, and dangerous to play with, because truth be told, the real cracks between them started showing after Dolph's end.
Bro, it's like, what, if you so gangster, why the f you rapping? Why you ain't out there killing? You need to go do some murders, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you're a killer, go kill some shit. You right here on this stage for, you know what I'm saying? So I look at it like, so many people want to be rappers. And so many people I ain't no rapper, I'm a street. You know what I'm saying? It's just so much bullshit. So I had to wonder to myself, like, what the f am I? You know what I'm saying? All these be lying like, they this and they did. But what, I had to really think like, what am I? And I'm like, I'm not a rapper. Because I like rapping, but I'm telling my side, but I really like entertaining people.
After Dolph was gone, the streets wasted no time pointing fingers straight at CMG. Yo Gotti's own brother, Big Jook, even got picked up and questioned by police, which only fueled more rumors. And to make it even wilder, the man accused of being behind Dolph's end, Govan Hernandez, was just acquitted not too long ago. That news alone sent shockwaves across Memphis, and in case you missed it, there's even video footage tied to the story that had fans buzzing nonstop. The last thing Gotti needed in a moment like that was somebody from his own camp clowning around or trolling, but that's exactly what Black Youngsta did. He went viral after dropping a video at a gravesite, standing next to a headstone with Dolph's last name on it. And if that wasn't enough, he doubled down by posting wild content online, acting like he couldn't care less what anybody thought about it. Now, to Youngsta, it might have felt like him just being himself, reckless, loyal to CMG, and ready to ride with the brand no matter what. But to Gotti, it was a nightmare for business. Fans noticed the shift quick. What once looked like raw loyalty now looked like out-of-control recklessness that could drag the whole label into the mud. From that point on, the cracks between Gotti and Youngsta were impossible to hide. And as I mentioned earlier, CMG just doesn't look as solid as it once did.
The jury found the defendant, Hernandez Govan, not guilty in count 2 of the indictment.
It was said more than once as the 45-year-old was acquitted on both counts. Govan was unable to contain his excitement as he embraced his pro bono defense attorneys, but out of view were the supporters of Young Dolph who were hoping Lady Justice would tip in their favor.
Moneybagg Yo's momentum slowed way down. 42, Doug got caught up in legal troubles that froze his run. And Youngsta, he's gone quiet, nowhere near the loud energy he built his name on. Stan G even pointed out that Gotti can't move the way he used to. There's too much heat on his name after the Dolph situation. Right now, the only star still keeping CMG afloat is Glorilla. Right now, instead of fans asking who's next to blow up, the real question is who's next to fall out. And this is where the fear for Black Youngsta gets very real. Because remember, Yo Gotti isn't just a rapper, he's plugged in on another level. Stan G already spelled it out. Gotti has ties in high places, and when he decides someone's run is done, it's done. If he wants an artist iced out of the industry, it can happen. If he wants legal smoke thrown their way, that can happen too. So when Youngsta starts shading him online, it's not just petty rebellion, it's risky business. In Gotti's world, being labeled a liability doesn't just mean losing your spot on the label. It can mean losing your entire career, your name, your momentum, everything you worked for. That's why fans are holding their breath, because this ain't a normal falling out. This is the type of split where bridges get burned and doors get locked forever. Let's keep it real. If Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta actually go head to head, it won't just stay in the music. Gotti moves like the unofficial president of Memphis, money, influence, and connection stretching way beyond the studio walls. When someone with that kind of reach feels betrayed, the backlash hits in ways most artists can't even imagine. But here's the flip side. Black Youngsta is not the type to roll over or play quiet. His whole image has been built on proving he'll stand tall no matter who's against him. And that's why this situation is so unpredictable. On one side, you've got a boss with power, money, and an empire on the line. On the other, you've got an artist who's reckless enough to gamble everything just to prove a point. Black Youngsta is reckless, emotional, and unafraid to say exactly what's on his mind, and that makes him unpredictable. And when you mix that unpredictability with Yo Gotti's cold, calculated boss moves, it feels like a recipe for disaster. Fans are already bracing themselves because nobody wants to see history repeat itself. Nobody wants another dark headline like what went down with Dolph. But with Youngsta calling out fake CEOs and Stan G openly warning that Gotti could flip on him, the writing on the wall is getting harder and harder to ignore. If this tension doesn't get fixed, CMG isn't just at risk of losing one artist. It could lose its whole identity, its entire legacy. The empire Gotti built for years could start crumbling from the inside out, all because loyalty turned into suspicion and brotherhood turned into betrayal. And right now, the question isn't whether CMG is falling apart. That part's clear for everyone to see. The real question is, how far will Gotti go to keep his grip on power? How far will he go to make sure nobody inside the camp steps out of line? Because if Stan G's warning is on point, then Black Youngsta might be standing on the edge of something way bigger than just rap drama. This could spiral into a battle that decides the future of CMG itself. So let's hear it. What's your take on this messy fallout? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Stay tuned because you already know. We got more heat coming straight from the streets, and you won't want to miss what's in our hood next.
In the video, that is the first time detectives learned that there was actually 4 people in that gray Jeep, and that the defendant, Jamel Demons, is in the rear driver's side seat.
He even shot through the seat multiple times, and there was no defense wounds to be like, stop. You get me? It was that quick. Bang, 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 bang. That quick.
New footage just dropped, and it's about to flip everything in the YNW Melly case upside down. For the first time, we're seeing what really went down that night with Bortland and Melly. And let's just say loyalty got real shaky when they hit a dead end. The night of October 26th, 2018 started off like any other. Young stars grinding in the studio, chasing their dreams in the middle of the struggle. But by sunrise, everything had changed. 2 crew members were gone, and one of their closest friends was behind bars. This right here, it's a wild tale of how fast money and fame can twist everything. The YNW crew had been like family since way back, running the blocks of Gifford, Florida. It was survival mode 24/7, make it out or stay stuck. Melly, real name Jamel Demons, was blowing up with his track Murder on My Mind, and the spotlight brought tension, especially with YNW sack chaser Anthony Williams, 21, and YNW juvie Christopher Thomas Jr., 19. They were day ones, solid from the start. But when Melly signed with 300 Entertainment for a rumored $200,000 to $500,000, the cracks started to show.
The vibes look decent. I'm gonna be honest with you. It don't look like nobody kind of beefing. Nobody look too excited. you know, if somebody kind of got into it, like niggas might be like, you know, they're not just walking normal. Like everybody looks kind of chill. Good. Remember they said it was a gray vehicle. He gets into this is Juvie, I said, right? He gets into the front right side.
Texts later revealed Sack Chaser demanding his share, writing what, you blowing up? And he wanted in. We still eating crumbs. Pay up or we done? That's what one of Melly's own texted him. Straight pressure. In a place like Gifford, loyalty ain't just a word, it's survival. And once you break that trust, it's a wrap. The YNW crew came up together in the trenches, poverty, pain, and a dream to make it out. They had each other's backs through everything. They watched homies fall, held each other down through losses, and believed that if one made it, they all would. But fame changes people. And Melly's rise